Hello, this is lesson 4 in the Drive Print Technical Certification series, and we're going to cover one of the new modules in version 3 of Drive Print, pull printing. What pull printing is a way for the user to send their jobs to a queue, which resides on the server, and they can send those jobs either through email or through the phone or through a file print to a shared printer or any other method. They send them to the queue. And when they go to the printer, they're using one of our embedded applications for one of our supported platforms to actually query and look at their jobs and select which ones they want to release at the printer. So you don't have to send jobs to be held on the firmware of the printer. It means that you don't have to print jobs out not knowing whether they came out or not and printing them out without being there, right? So there's a security element to this. Also, it makes it a little easier just for for users to manage their own jobs. So if you look here, you'll see that I have two licenses, a pull print license and a mobility manager license. And while I don't have to have the mobility manager license in order to use the pull printing license, it helps because it allows me to do email submission for jobs and it allows users to use the apps. But like I said, the pull printing license can exist on its own. Let's say if a user just wanted to do a file print to the MyQ printer, which we talked about in a previous lesson, they could do that and then walk up to the device and use the Drive Pull Print app to view their jobs and release them. So I'm going to show this app being run on the Sharp right now, and I'm going to show you how to set it up. With the Sharp OSA MX2 module, just the same one that Drive Image uses, we're able to publish our pull print app right on the device panel. One of the major benefits of doing it this way is that we actually have an authentication mechanism built into our app, which means that you don't have to use the Sharp external accounting module. You don't have to lock the whole copier down in order to do full printing. You can just set it so that the user is able to release their jobs from the app and they're able to log in inside of the app. And I'll show that in a second. So if I look at this copier right here, it's a Sharp MX3110N, and I have in my external application settings all my standard applications, and this is where Drive Image would be and any other OSA app that you put in there. So I don't want to set up the external account control. I just want to set up this one pull print app. So what I'm going to do is go into Drive Print and I'm going to set up the IP address here of that printer. And remember, if you put in a specific IP, it'll just search for that one device. And what it's going to do here, well, maybe let's give it some more time. Oh, actually, that's me, right? I need to do 197. So what's going to happen, and I explained this in a previous video, the auto setup feature here is going to set up the printers based off the licenses that you have. So because I now have a pull print license and a mobile printing license, what it's going to do is going to enable this printer as a mobile target, and it's also going to go into the OSA page and set up that printer as an external, or sorry, it's going to set up that MX2 OSA app. So here I'll select this printer and I'll hit Setup Devices, and you'll see that it'll first configure the Windows queue, so it's creating the logical printer, and now it's configuring the OSA application. So it's actually going into the administrative page of the copier, and it's putting the correct URLs in, and it's linking and uploading the correct PNG for the graphic. And we'll see that in a second. And once it's done, it's going to save it on the machine, and it's going to set it as an available enabled printer here within Drive. Now, one thing to keep in mind is that it's going to use the default password for the Sharp, which is admin. So if you change that, then this part's going to fail, and what you're going to need to do is go into the printer section here and manually add it, and then come in here and put in a specific password. So you see here also how there's a couple sections. There's general, authentication, and advanced. And general is pretty straightforward. All this was set up for us. I could generate a QR code if I want, but it's not really necessary here because we could actually put a QR code on the login page there for the user. But if you look right here, we've got the shortcode set as a login type. And like I said, there's a login mechanism within the app, so you don't have to use the external account control on the Sharp to lock down the device. We can just let the user walk up and enter either their full username and password, and that could be their AD name and password, or we could actually let them enter in a shortcode. So remember, a shortcode is a value that a user either has brought in from AD or it's created for them. And it's just a 5 or longer digit PIN that they can use to identify themselves. So what this means is a user can walk up, the machine's not locked down, but if they want to go into the Drivve pull print app, they can open it up and identify themselves with just their PIN. They don't, or just their shortcode. They don't have to enter in their username and password every time. So let's save. And if something goes wrong, you can always go into the authentication section and hit configure platform, and it'll give you the URL that you need to put in there. So if I go back to the Sharp, I can see that in standard application settings, there's now a Drivve print application that was added, and it'll add the correct PNG for it, and it'll put the URL in, and it'll save it. It'll do all the setup for me. So here I've remoted into the touch panel of the Sharp device, and it's a OSA4 machine. And I don't have the machine locked down, so you see there's no logged in user up here. But what I'm going to do is navigate to the Drivve OSA app that was set up. So remember, there's two things. There's an external account app, which is the authentication module, and we also have the embedded module, or the pull print module, which is set up as a OSA MX2 app. So it loaded the image already, and if I click on it, it's going to open up the app, and it'll actually ask me to log in because it's got its own login mechanism built into this app. So we don't have to actually lock down the machine in order to let the user authenticate just to the pull print app. So you see down here I have the barcode. It's because I selected show barcode. So let's say if this was set as the home screen, a user could scan that barcode inside of their app just to set their mobile target if they didn't want to log in, or if they wanted to look at their My Jobs or their My Queue on the phone. But here I'm going to actually just put in my shortcode, and a shortcode could have been brought in from an Active Directory field when you did an LDAP sync, or it could be created automatically for that user when you brought them in or when they sent an email in. And so I've logged in, and here I see all my different print jobs. I see if they're color or monochrome. If I select a job here, I can select advanced, and I can actually change whether it's going to be duplex or simplex, and whether I want it to be color, how many copies I want, and then I can choose to retain it in my queue. You can also, if you set the login type to be full inside of Drivve Print, you can force the user to enter in their username and their password here, and it can be their AD username and password.